Kingdom Conversation.
I think of Esther in her state, and thinking of Haman, who tried to manipulate the king to get him to annihilate the people, and how a woman was used to bless and to save the people. It's
out of all the women that the king had, he had love for her.
Concerning Esther and her purpose for being there, and how she presented herself, and how he was drawn to her by, by her probably innocence and by her humility.
I love Esther's story because, with Esther, her beginning, it was hard. I mean, first of all, this woman, she lost both of her parents, so she was being raised up by a relative. And then she's forced to sleep with a king that she doesn't even know, because he's just trying out women to see which one he want to take to replace the one, because he was mad at his wife. So he out here gathering women all around the nation and trying them out or whatever. So she's, you got to think about it. These women are being raped, because they're being forced to have sex with someone and give their virginity up to someone who they don't know, because he's their king. So he got women lined up just sleeping with them, and even in that, God graced her to have favor with him to make it into the palace. And he used even that bad situation, even that, that rape, to bless her and put her in a position where she had influence and that she could preserve her people. What I admire and the lesson that I get from Esther is, what is your conviction? Because she had a choice, to risk her life and die to save her people, or to be silent and to save herself. And so we as women, if we don't stand for something, we'll fall for anything. And that's a lesson that I learned from Esther in that situation. What are your convictions? What are things that you stand for, that you won't compromise life or death to make sure that those things that you feel strongly about are stood up for,
I was thinking about because how we was talking about Eve, and then we was talking about Esther, and how you were saying like the women have equation, because it out of all the women that the king had, he had love for her. He had love, like the Lord had placed love in his heart for her, where it was able, where she was able to persuade him to save her people and everything else too. So that's another thing that I was thinking about too when he's talking.
Naisha brought out a very different side of a very different revelation. I was kind of looking over my notes to see any indication that I felt like there was abuse or there was something that took place. And I understand the way that she ended up in the palace, like I said in the beginning, it just seems so ordained, because everything is so ordained by God, and everything is such a setup for the purpose of God. Right. And everything is, it has been ordered with the right people in the right place at the right time, because Esther wasn't even supposed to even been in the palace, first of all. Right. She shouldn't even have been in the choosing. Secondly, it was time for Vesta to get out of the way, because it was time for the purpose of God to be made for the people of God. Right. So, so it just so happened that that time and that place manifested for the will of God to be done. Right. And there was so many things that took place, you know, like Esther being there, Esther going in there, you know, in the middle of the night to lay at his feet. And I thought that was wisdom, because probably everyone else that went in there got under the covers, you know, got laid next to him to try to seduce their position. But because she chose to lay outside of the bed at his feet and to read to him, it piqued his curiosity. Right. You know, who is this person? You know, she's not like the rest of them. Right. You know, and then the preparation to go to the king was full knowledge of where you were going and why you were going. So right. I wanted to see it from your layout, Naija.
But I think what Naija was saying, because of the simple fact the women didn't really have a choice. Like, so I'm taking it that's what you mean, for the fact that they couldn't say no, because things would happen if they did say no, you know. So it's like they really didn't have a choice, even though they did have the preparation and everything else, and they did know what they were coming there to the castle for, what they were coming there for. But still, there was a lot of women that did not want to be there. And like they didn't, and they were still taken from their home to be there, you know, and they didn't really have that choice to say, okay, well, I'm not trying to do this today. Can I go back home? Because that was not happening. And then
does it say that he slept with them?
Yeah, they were being prepared. That's what the preparation.
They were being prepared to be his wife, but did he sleep with them?
Yeah, so the whole like the whole myrrh bath and stuff like that, that was actually back in those days, that was their way of doing birth control. It was a way to cease up, right, ointment to cease up to prevent pregnancy. Right. So they knew they were getting prepared to sleep with this man. They were getting prepared and bathed for that.
Okay. And newsflash, I should say, because I knew that the preparation was to cleanse them and to prepare them to come and meet the king, you know, and I knew that they couldn't meet him coming out the fields, you know, and that they had to smell a certain way, they had to be washed. But for that to go in and to cleanse them inside and to prepare them, you know, fresh in that sense, that's really, you know, interesting. And I would definitely look into that. That's awesome, you know. But you know, it does come back to, you know, what we were talking about concerning Esther and her purpose for being there, and how she presented herself, and how he was drawn to her by, you know, by her probably innocence and by her humility. And, you know, even when she said, you know, that, what was her statement? I'm going to see the king, the most famous statement there is.
When she prepared to go meet with, so she can invite him.
Yeah, if I perish, I was trying to think, if I perish, I perish. But I'm going to see the king, you know, what she had to go through without fear, without, you know, regards for her life, knowing that if she broke in that room, you know, that they could kill her. But her determination to carry out the purpose of God, she went anyway. You know, that showed a type of woman that would die for her people. You know, that showed a type of woman that, you know, that really loved and reverenced God. Because when Malachi came to her and let her know, you know, you can't go in there and relax. You can't go in there and just, you know, just forget about your reason for going in there. You got to carry out the purpose. You know, there's a people waiting for you to carry out your purpose. Yes, you know. So
don't you be hitting.
Yeah. Like, I ain't asked for this.
Don't get missing.
Yeah, so that's good, because it comes right back, you know, comes right back to his will and purpose.
She had to be some kind of woman too, because even in that, you know, and before all of his, subjects and stuff like that, he showed her mercy.
Yeah.
And so that let you know she had
His
heart and his respect.
Right.
That he would even, hold out his staff to protect her from, the people who hold counsel in his court, because he would prefer her life, and us as women, we have to, position ourselves, to be in that place, to be that person, for our husband, and then the people that are under our covering too, where we have their hearts,
Right.
where we're not just trying to, lord over them, but, to love them,
Right.
to care for them, to show ourselves, our personality, be vulnerable before them, and, allow them to see us for who we are and the God in us.
Well, this story is definitely close to my heart. My romance novel is kind of loosely based on this one. So I'm just listening and gathering things as I'm writing. So you guys are helping me out. But definitely, I love this story because I think of Esther in her state, and thinking of Haman, who tried to manipulate the king to get him to annihilate the people, and how a woman was used to bless and to save the people. And so even though a lot of times we may feel insufficient, we may feel like we are not all that we should be or capable to handle the situations we're in. So many times I've been in situations, and even recently, where I go into an interview and I feel like, well, I'm here, Lord. If this is for me, then it will be for me. And then the interview just goes so smoothly, and it's not even a hard thing. It's a smooth conversation where you feel like you're going in to see, your master, your king, your earthly king, to get favor, but you already have favor from the true king. And I think that is the key for this story, that even though it felt like it was a hard thing to go to this king because her life may have been lost, she already had the favor of our true king. And so she didn't need to fear, because he was in control of the situation, and it was already taken care of. And so whatever we're going through, whatever situation, whether in business, church, whatever it is, we can know that we have the heart of the king, and that if we are in his favor, then everything else will be taken care of. And that's the biggest picture. Whatever else is going on with the other women and all that stuff, I just focus on the fact that I have favor with my king.
Amen. I know that's right.
Hallelujah.
Ain't nothing like favor.
Coming up on Kingdom Conversation.
She rounded up her backup. Come on. We gonna go confront Moses. And God was like, everybody after 10.
Yeah.
Everybody. I'm about to settle this right now.
One day I was on fire and I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, listening from the Lord, doing right. And then the next day I was over there.
Submission is not easy. I don't know what you're talking about. Submission in marriage.
It's not easy.
But be a part of our community. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. Make sure that you are liking, that you're commenting, and that you are subscribing to our YouTube page as well. And don't forget to hit that notification button, so this way you are made aware of all the new content that we place out. Also on our website, you can subscribe to our blog, so this way you are in the know of all our updates, of all the new people who are joining our communities, and ways that you can get involved with us here at Kingdom Women Enterprise.